You know what? A lot of misconceptions come from the ummah itself. The Muslims themselves, they have to understand what the deen is. Who are the greatest minds of Islam? What did they understand about Islam? And Islam is a direction. In my opinion, it's a direction. The Prophet ﷺ and Islam was so progressive in their time. They were the most merciful, the most just. It was absurd that the camel has rights. These are things that were absurd, that the woman has rights. Islam was progressively going in a direction, step by step. For instance, Islam abolished slavery, but one step at a time. In the West, we abolished slavery with a violent war. Now, we both did something great, the West and the East. Now, I'm a Muslim. I'm from the East. My roots are from the East, but I'm born in the West. I'm in the middle. Okay, take me as impartial here for a second. I love Islam and I love the West. But the West had a bloody battle to free the slaves. Islam, we didn't have. Islam taught us the master and the slave, they're equal. Only their adab, only their good manners, one is better than the other. Yeah? You have it beautifully written in your dojo, by the way. Every sin, you want to be pardoned, you want to make it right with Allah, free a slave, free a slave. Every verse in the Quran, so many verses in the Quran, free a slave. What's Islam? The freeing of a slave, free a slave, free. We're so encouraged to free a slave that you're going to be embarrassed to have a slave. But yet, we didn't take the slave out of your hand because there would be maybe a economical destabilization, a civil war. Why did the whites not want to free the slaves? Well, it was the whites that wanted to free the slaves. The poor whites said, look, the black slaves are taking our jobs. They lower our wages because they're free labor. It was the whites that wanted to free the slaves and another group of whites that didn't want to free the slaves. Now, in Islam, the mu'min, the righteous, he's happy to free the slave. It's a righteous thing to do. We resolved slavery in a different way. But today in the East and the West, we don't have slavery. Okay? Islam is by increments. Increments. What is the direction Islam was going? Now, some Muslims today, they want to say, no, whatever was done in that time, that's it. Hit the brakes. Don't progress. I believe that the principles have to remain true. However, the exact manners per se, again, this is not my opinion. I'm not a Muslim scholar. Ask the Muslim scholars. The majority of them will tell you that it's a direction. We have to be a little bit more modernized in our thinking. Islam was a direction because Islam in its 23 years of revelation also moved forward and changed. Why? That's the example. That's the very principle that we are progressive. Mm-hmm. We are progressive. Yes, a quick change might have been too much for the Arabs. And change in Islam is done, the correct way to change in Islam is incrementally.
Yeah.
That's why if you're a new Muslim, start slow. Don't pray 50 times a day. Start with the fard. Start with the 5.
Yeah.
Start with the minimum. Make it easy. Once that's easy, add extra.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make it all about ritual. Not a maximum amount of ritual. Islam's supposed to be easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Transition is made easy. So I think a lot of Muslims today, they have, for lack of a better term, dumbed down the religion. And we've done the most harm to ourselves. Why? Mm-hmm. Because when you tell the Muslims today, who's Ibn Tufayl? They don't know. Who's Imam Ghazali? They don't know. You know, there's a hadith that says every 100 years, there's going to be somebody who's going to come and bring back the religion, reform it. Like somebody we're going to follow. Somebody we're going to have great admiration for. Every 100 years. Now, every 100 years we debate who's that man. Except one century we didn't debate. That was the year of Imam Ghazali. In the year of Imam Ghazali, everybody agreed he's the one. Mm-hmm. Nobody's greater than him. What did he say? Most Muslims, they didn't read Imam Ghazali. Imam Ghazali says, when you hold something to be true, bring me a demonstration or else strike it from the record. He was the most skeptical. So if you brought him gravity, he would say, demonstrate me gravity. That's your aql. That's your intellect. You cannot demonstrate me gravity. So therefore, we put it in the maybe pile, plausible. And then Einstein comes along and disproves gravity as Isaac Newton understood it. A pulling force. But this wouldn't have happened to Imam Ghazali. Because Imam Ghazali said, I must know things via intuition, daw.
Yeah.
Which brings me back, maybe, I know we're running out of time, to my one point I would like to bring up. Ibn Arabi, he says, look, don't divide things as material or immaterial. Your body's material, your consciousness is immaterial. Use the language of the Quran. The Quran is going to point us to something very wondrous. He says, look at it as seen and unseen. You've seen your body, yeah? But you haven't seen your soul. You've experienced your soul directly. Intuition. But you haven't seen it. So we have the seen and we have the unseen. Now when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when God makes Adam, alayhi salam, He takes him from the soil. The soil is seen. The soil, you can see it. Then He breathes into him His ruh. The ruh, the spirit of God, the ruh is the Arabic word. I hate to use translation because there's so many problems with translation. But God breathes into him something unseen. And Ibn Arabi says, when the seen and unseen came together, now we have man, Adam, alayhi salam. The Adam, the ego, the self, what you associate to Eddie, is not this unseen thing, which you would call the soul per se. Or now we fall into semantics. There's the unseen, there's the seen, and then there's this thing sandwiched in the middle, Adam, or man.
Mm-hmm.
So the story of Adam is a story as well of direct experience that you've had. You are this seen object, and you're also part of you unseen. And the one who's witnessing this interaction, because Ibn Arabi takes a lot of dualities, hot, cold, plus, minus. The shahada, la ilaha illallah, there is no except one. The many, the one, the opposites. When we bring them together,
Pure monotheism.
pure monotheism, of course, no doubt about it. But do you understand that when we bring in hot and cold, when we bring in the opposites,
Mm-hmm.
we come to something very unique. When we brought the seen and unseen opposites and we experience them together, we have something very unique that's born. The ego, the self. What you hold as Eddie, this one thing, the thing you call Eddie, is sandwiched between the seen and the unseen. And this is the very story of Adam. And of course, he has a very, Ibn Arabi has an incredible amount of writings on the tafsir of the Quran. And his nickname was the Sheikh al-Akbar.
Mm-hmm.
Sheikh al-Akbar, meaning the greatest teacher. Now, again, he was a prodigy. He didn't have any real teachers growing up, and he was a very enlightened human being. Again, but this is for the Muslims today to be familiar with, to know. And the reason why we don't know is, in my opinion, why we have so much trouble.
Mm-hmm.
We have such a hard time being understanding our deen,
Mm-hmm.
because our deen is very simple and easy to understand.
Yes. We often say that if people can dig this